So, guys, I want to talk about Daniel Garcia, and there's a rumor that he actually may join WWE or he may quit in AEW. And there's a couple of things that I want to say about it. That I do believe that he has a lot of potential, and really, what's going to happen in AEW is that he really needs to you need to do MJF versus Will Ospreay at Wembley Stadium. And then at All Out, I would definitely have Daniel Garcia versus MJF, and you could have MJF. You could have MJF win, but eventually you got to have Daniel Garcia beat MJF. Like, just have, like, maybe a best 2 out of 3 type of thing. And that's where they need to go to kind of actually make Daniel Garcia a big star. And you got to see some more fight and some more fire in him. But honestly, if they don't have that direction with him, I would not actually. I would tell him it's time to go to WWE, because there's a lot of wrestlers like him that fall in that category of, what, he could be a bigger deal, and he's not actually being showcased that well. And honestly, you can't do something like you had him just being beat down by MJF. He has to come back with vengeance. He has to come back with fight and fire. And if they do something like just write him off, or this is actually a real injury, and they just bring him back and he's not even engaging with MJF, then they just kind of wasted a huge opportunity. And as I said, that, he honestly falls in the Ricky Starks category, where I think that Ricky Starks could be a big deal, but they don't know how to book Ricky Starks that well, or they don't know how to be consistent with him. And they made Ricky Starks' job to sting. But you kind of look at Daniel Garcia. I think earlier this year, I've said that I didn't really see anything in Daniel Garcia. He had the match with Swerve Strickland. I think they did the figure 4 on a table. They both fell off, and this was at the January 4th show, and I remember like that distinctly, where Danny Garcia got so mad he threw a drink in the direction of Tony Khan, just because he was angry that even though Tony put him over, he was very embarrassed that he fell off the table. And then honestly, I think that I didn't see anything from him. I felt like he was overrated. But when they started to do stuff, like they talked about his personal life, and they talked about how he, if I remember correctly, had an abusive father, and he got in a car crash, and he had to recover, and he may have lost his leg, and he had to do a lot of different things. That's the Daniel Garcia I think that we all love and care about, the overcomer, really. And even though he does the dick dancing, part of that is a bad choice of him. I think that, as they don't teach in AEW, is that there's certain times when you do something like that, and then there's certain times that you don't. For example, like last year when you had MJF versus and Adam Cole versus I think they versed like the Dark Order or somebody, and they started to do a dance off and other things like that. So I think the point of it is that you don't see it with Danny Garcia. I think that sometimes he doesn't know how to turn off the dancing and other things like that, and I've kind of criticized him for that. But I think that, as I've said, I think they don't have a bigger plan for him, or they don't have a bigger direction for him, or they don't say, okay, well, the next year we're going to have you beat MJF, we're going to put a championship on you, we're going to have you wrestle for a while, and we're going to put multiple championships on you, and just see how that goes, really, see if you are a draw. If they don't do that, then he really needs to go, because he can't be that person that's like, okay, well, there's something there, really, and you're not going to help me develop. Just to do some fantasy booking, I was doing my AEW All-In match card. And I was saying that because Samoa Joe's out, you should have Katsuyori Shibata and Hook and Daniel Garcia versus Chris Jericho, Brian Keith, and Big Cass, just so you have some wrestlers in that group who can benefit from exposure at the Wembley Stadium show. And then after that, you have Daniel Garcia, just talk about MJF, really. And definitely you can do something where you have the MJF Will Ospreay match, have MJF win, and then you set up Daniel Garcia versus MJF. Like, maybe Daniel Garcia actually attacks MJF, or something like that, really. And then you set up Daniel Garcia and MJF at All Out, and I would even do something like where it comes down to the wire, or maybe it's like a 30-minute match. They run out of time, and then you do another match at Grand Slam, and then, you have MJF actually beat him, and then you actually have Wrestle Dream, So So yeah, I just think that with Daniel Garcia, there's a lot that you can do, but if he's not being to his full potential, NXT has to be the best option for him. So AEW has to get it right with him. He has a lot of potential, and he just knows that if it's being wasted, get out of it.